Hi friends, welcome to day 1 of 1 Peter chapter 5. We are wrapping up this first letter of Peter this week and I'm excited. Let's just dig right in. Lord, thank you for your living hope. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I pray, God, that as we dig into your word today and this week, that you would continue to strengthen our faith, strengthen our hope. Give us eyes to see you and to know you. Thanks, God. All right, let's read, shall we? So, I exhort the elders among you as a fellow elder and a witness of the sufferings of Christ, as well as a partaker in the glory that is going to be revealed. Shepherd the flock of God that is among you, exercising oversight, not under compulsion, but willingly, as God would have you, not for shameful gain, but eagerly, not domineering over those in your charge, but being examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the unfading crown of glory. All right, I like that. Okay, so my first question, guess what it is? I know. I hope that some of you have already asked who. And Peter here is addressing the elders. Who is an elder was the first question that I wrote down. And so I looked this up because, unless we're in church, and we might, even when we're in church, we may only have a vague idea of who is an elder, what do they do. So I did look that up. An elder is over an assembly of Christian believers. It's as simple as that. And that can be an appointed or an elected position. It really doesn't matter. So then I asked, okay, well, what is Peter exhorting the elders to do? Because he uses that word. And by the way, I did look that up as well. If there's a word that we don't use very frequently, like I don't go around saying I exhort you, as Peter just did. Exhort means to earnestly support or encourage a response or action. I don't know why we don't use that word. It's a great word, so Peter is earnestly, fervently encouraging the elders to do something. So what does Peter exhort? Well, he exhorts, we can answer that. He answers it for us. Shepherd the flock of God that is among you. As simple as that. And, that might lead us to ask some more questions, right? Just being curious with the text. What is a shepherd? How is one to shepherd? Peter gives some instructions here. So I did look up shepherd, even though I can picture someone tending a flock of sheep, right? But I went ahead and looked that up in the Strong's Concordance, and it means, this surprised me a little bit, it means to rule. And, I love Psalm 23, but I don't think about the shepherd ruling, the good shepherd ruling over his sheep. But that's the meaning, to rule over a group of people. And kind of with this idea as one might tend a flock of sheep or goats. What I loved here was the cross-reference, and I highly recommend, if you didn't find this one, checking it out. John 21:16. Some of you maybe have already, and we're probably familiar with this story of Peter. We'll be looking at it as we conclude our study the very last week of the book. But this is John 21:16, where Jesus says to Peter a second time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? And Peter said to him, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. And Jesus said to Peter, tend my sheep. Tend my sheep. And so that's just, I don't know. That's a gut-wrenching portion of scripture, and I could easily get sidetracked there thinking about it. But in the same way now, Peter is exhorting others, just as Jesus Christ himself has exhorted Peter to feed his sheep. Now Peter is exhorting us, he was exhorting these first century believers, these elect exiles that are scattered. He's exhorting the elders to feed their sheep or shepherd the flock of God that is among you. So he gives some instructions on how to shepherd, and I definitely made a short little list there that we're called to shepherd willingly, eagerly, and to be examples to the flock. So not be lording it over our flocks, not be under compulsion as if, somebody's beating us to do our job here in shepherding the sheep, and not for shameful gain too. And that's definitely important, and maybe will come out a little bit more in the second letter of Peter. So he is exhorting the shepherds over the flocks, the elders over the flocks, to serve in this way. And he ends this with what I just put. Guess what elders will receive? This unfading crown of glory. And that unfading, that cross-reference, it takes us right back to 1 Peter chapter 1, where we saw that our inheritance is imperishable, undefiled and unfading, and it's kept in heaven for you. And then this crown of glory, it really does point to the victor's crown of glory. And that glory, when I looked, I don't know why, I was just interested in that. Maybe just because I'm interested in pretty things sometimes. But this glory speaks to a brilliance, a radiance, a beauty. So that's what is waiting for those who shepherd God's flock. And maybe some of us are sitting, wherever we are in our homes today, thinking, well, I'm not an elder, I'm not a pastor, I'm not even a Sunday school teacher. Friends, we all have a flock before us, and I think number one, it's so easy for us to lose sight of the flock of our family, right? And so I'm speaking to you moms and maybe some dads too. Listen, you've got a flock right in front of you, and Peter is calling us to shepherd the flock, these sheep that God has put among us. He's saying, feed the sheep that are among us. So I hope that's an encouraging word for you, and encourages you as it's so easy, I think, in our homes sometimes, especially in the midst of COVID and helping the kids with school and that kind of thing. It's so easy to lose sight of this idea that, wow, this has an eternal purpose to it. And it has an eternal, what Peter is saying, there's an unfading reward here. So anyway, I think, I know I'm going to take a little time now just to praise this chief shepherd that we serve. And that's a great application for today, is just worshiping our good shepherd. But then maybe pondering, okay, Lord, what does it look like for me to feed your sheep today? All right, friends, thanks for joining me. I hope to see you tomorrow.